Thanks.
I've been doing those talks for, thank you, quite some years now. And I think this one will be the most micromobility talk I ever did. I think it should be called super micromobility or micromobility, whatever the name we come up with. But basically, I was on stage together with the city of Amsterdam at this conference a year ago. And Gemma was explaining how they needed data to build a better city, a safer city for cyclists. And I was like, wait a minute, we have data at Cowboy, maybe there is something to do. Because at Cowboy, we collect up to 35 data points every second. Like that's one of the best connected e-bikes on the market. We connect data like the GPS location, the speed of the bike, the temperature of the motor, the temperature of the battery, how fast you go, if you're pushing hard on the pedal, if you are lazy, if you let the motor do all the work for you. And basically, we have a pretty good idea on all our customers and riders, they use the bike. We know how often they charge the battery, for instance, what's going to be the autonomy for them, what's going to be the average number of calories burned per trip. But one of the most interesting functionality we've ever developed is this one, the crash detection. So it's quite simple to understand. So we use sensor fusion, so up to 5 sensors in the bike to detect an accident, a crash. And when we detect that, we send a notification to the emergency contact of the customer. You can track the location of the bike, you can provide assistance, but basically it will give us a quite interesting set of data because we did that for more than 55 million trips. And so we have a pretty good idea of what are the most dangerous hotspots in a specific city. I took the example of Brussels. We will talk about Amsterdam. But if you zoom in on those hotspots, you can see why it's dangerous. On this specific crossroad, if you have to turn left, you have to cross up to 12 times the rails of the tram. We have, I think, 22 crashes in this specific junction, so it gives you an idea how dangerous it is, but also how relevant the data that we have is for our customers, but also for cities. And this one is the best one. So, of course, you have rails. It looks like a roundabout, but it's not a roundabout. You have a green light. You have to be careful because you have bus coming on your right. You also have cobblestone in the middle, so it's super slippery. And basically, we also have like up to 20 crashes in that specific junction. So what we did at Cowboy was to basically use those data to let our customers know, slow down. The next junctions might be dangerous for you. Be careful. Look at the rails. Look at the traffic, and we try to decrease the number of accidents. And we've been quite successful. So this is the probability of having an accident on a Cowboy bike. As you can see, the trend line is going down pretty quickly. But at the end of the day, you can have the best vehicle on the market. What you need is a safe city. And that's where my friend from Amsterdam jumps in.
Thanks so much, Tanguy. Yeah, everyone knows Amsterdam, of course, as a cycling city, but this wasn't always the case. So here we see Amsterdam in the 70s, totally overrun by cars. And it was actually the people of Amsterdam who said, no, enough is enough. We're going to stop this. They even called this protest, Stop the Child Killing. And that's when we acted. That's when we changed our infrastructure. We banned a lot of cars from the city center and tried to make Amsterdam a truly cycling-centric city. So right now, over 1/3 of all trips is actually made by bicycle, which is something we're very proud of. However, cycling is still dangerous, is still the most vulnerable participant in traffic. So over half of all fatalities are cyclists. And there's another trend here that electric bicycles are up and coming. Now already over 30% of all bicycles are electric and over half of all new bicycles are electric. So this changes the dynamic and it means we really need to act as a city. One of the things we're doing is our black spot program. So every location that has at least 3 major incidents with emergency service at the location within 3 years, those locations, we will adapt them. We will adapt the infrastructure to improve cycling safety. But this is still reactive, and we want to be proactive. We want to act to prevent. That means we have to look at it differently. From industry safety measures, we know that for every fatal incident, there are many more major accidents and even more minor accidents and countless near misses that actually have the same root problem. So in order to prevent it, we need to look broader. We need to ask questions like when do they occur, where do they occur, at what speeds do they occur, who is getting into an accident, and then why. So for that, of course, we need data. So thanks for that. We got this great data from Cowboy, and we compared it to the data we get from our emergency services. And what you immediately see is a lot of the hotspots are the same, which tells us this is quite representative of what's actually happening. However, we also see some different spots. And that tells us, yeah, we do need to broaden our view to get the full picture and actually act for everyone. If we look over time, we can clearly see when these incidents occur. So on the top, we see the weekday pattern. You clearly see the morning and the afternoon peak, but we can even see at what speeds does it happen. And as you can see, in the morning, everyone is in a hurry. So that tells you one of the reasons why it's happening. In the weekend, we see a totally different picture. We actually see that over here, most of the incidents happen at night. They happen at lower speeds, but probably at a bit higher blood alcohol levels. If we zoom out a bit more, we can see when it's happening over time, and then we see that when it's freezing, the freezing temperatures will cause ice on the roads, and we always see peaks happening then. We would also recommend that if you go to Amsterdam during King's Day, maybe don't cycle. Of course, you're asking, okay, we have all this data, then what are you doing with it? So here we have the incidents plotted with the speed at which they occur. And the first thing we notice is that this huge amount of people are having incidents at near standstill. At first, we thought that's a problem with the data, but it turns out no. A lot of incidents happen when people crowd in front of the traffic light. So for that, the city invented the frietzak. I thought for Brussels, you probably want to see some fries. So what is that? That is infrastructure that is shaped in such a way that you have more space for all the bikes at the traffic light. So here you can see it in action. You see from both sides, it has a frietzak, one this way and one this way, and it allows for people to crowd in front of the traffic light and then slope down where people naturally order a line again. If we look further at the data, we see that if you neglect the first part, then you do see the line going up. So if you cycle faster, the incidents are more frequent and they get more severe. So that's why we're also experimenting with what we call intelligent speed governance. It's actually similar to what you are doing. And we take geofences around the locations where we see a lot of incidents happening. And we give people a notification about, please slow down your bike. This can be a dangerous area. And we're experimenting with it, and we actually are looking to expand on that. Of course, you also need to see who is actually causing the major incidents, and it's not the bikes. The bikes are on this side, the victim side. Yeah, a lot of bikes are victims, but it's the car that's actually the culprit most of the time. So instead of just focusing on the bicycle, we are also focusing on this car. And of course, we take measures to make sure there's fewer cars in the city, but we're also looking at, can we do this smarter? So what we want to experiment with in the future, when we have a real good insight on where and when these incidents happen, when this chance of an incident goes up very high, can we actually make sure that we divert cars from these locations? And of course, there's navigation systems that people use, and we can actually interfere in that to redirect them and really make the city a lot safer for cyclists. And that's how we want to become a truly cycling-centric city. Thank you.
Yeah.